Good. All right. So first of all, man, let's answer some question, man. And the question number one, yes, real. Hold on, man. Let me look at my question real quick. Is why do I train the wrist, right? So the reason why I train the wrist, man. So think about this though, right? When you work out, right? Let me flex real quick. See that? So when you work out, right? The reason why you want to train your wrist, right? Think about this. When you work out, the one thing that most people neglect the most is probably the wrist, right? Because like, how do you train the wrist? Well, that's a good question. How do you train the wrist, right? And the wrist is already trained if you were to lift weights and stuff like that, right? But the thing is that there are particular tendons and cartilages and small fibers that connect to your metacarpal here, right? And to your fingers, right? That leads to your wrist. So it's how you train the fingers, right? And the reason why you want to train the fingers is one is because when you hold something like this, right? So this is my 15-pound hammer, right? 13.2 pounds is at the tip, 26 inches long, right? So that means if I were to hold like 4 feet away from my body, that's about 50 pounds of strength that you actually have to hold, right? But then you guys have to see that the wrist matters, yeah? Without having that wrist to be able to hold that weight, guess what happened? The gravity, right? The gravity just can fall straight down. And that's the reason why the wrist is very important. Because if you don't train the wrist, how are you going to hold this weight when the weight is at a tip, right? Like that, right? You see how the wrist comes in, but the wrist comes in because of the fingers, right? There are muscle fingers. There are muscles within your fingers that allow you to hold the weight, right? So when you first, let's say, lift weights like a deadlift, right? And you probably let go of the weight. The reason the one of the main reasons why you let go of the weight is because your hand, right? Your hand it probably slipped, right? And that's why some bodybuilders or powerlifter they use to wrap, right? When they use to wrap, this what happens. It allows the wrap to hold the weight hold the weight, so that way they can lift heavier, right? But that doesn't mean that the grip strength is strong, right? That just means their grip strength is not as strong as it should be. So they have to use some sort of a device to help lift the weights, right? For example, right? See this here, right? It's about 2 inches, right? But at the same time, you see how the weight is very heavy, right? So and that's the reason why you want to train your wrist. Hey, what's up, Tony and Selena? You want to train your wrist is because when you lift heavy, right? The one thing that comes out the most would be the wrist, right? So that's why you want to use a lot of like I guess you'd say the hand squeezer, because when you deadlift, right, you don't want to use a wrap, because when you use the wrap, guess what happens? When you start using the wrap, it allows you to become dependent on using the wrap to lift heavier. Hey, what's up, go? So you don't want to do that, right? Because like I said, in order for you to be able to do the 15-pound hammer, right, 20 inches long, 4 feet from your body, that's about 50 pounds of weight that you have to lift, right? That's because I stopped using the wrap. I stopped using the help to lift or the guard. What the thing is, I stopped using that because I realized that the more I start to use that, the more my grip strength get weaker, right? Because I can do 400-pound deadlift without problem, right? But hey, what's up, Gabriella? Oh, Marco, I'm Sam. So the reason why I stopped using the grip is because the grip to help me lift my deadlift is because I started to feel my grip was becoming weaker, right? Because it become weaker, I realized that I had more trouble like doing my hammer because the I guess you say the weaker your grip is, the less of your strength become, right? And that's the reason why if you guys look at like martial art training, right? They like Bruce Lee, right? He has designed this grip device that actually specifically strengthen the metacarpal of your fingers, so that way you can lift heavier. And that's the reason why I train my wrist a lot, is because it's a foundation for me to be able to lift heavier while maintaining a lean shape, right? Because I'm only 145, 146. I'm 146, I'm 5'10", but I walk around with 6% body fat all year round. I squat over 400 pounds, but I deadlift over 400 pounds. But at the same time, I'm also a martial artist as well, right? And that's because I train more towards the muscle joint, the fiber, right? So that way, it allowed me to build a stronger foundation So that way, if I stop training for like a week or two due to, emergencies, something like that, right? My foundation, my wrist, my joint areas are good, are healthy. Why? Because when you have a healthy joint and a healthy wrist, guess what happens? You're able to last a longer period of time without gaining extra weight. All right. So that was the first question that I got from you guys. And the other question was, why do I train my traps a lot, right? So that was the other question I got from you guys. So I do look at the my emails like that. So one of the email that I got from you guys, that why do I train the traps a lot? Well, the trap is the same thing towards the wrist as well. Is that it's also a foundation as well, right? It's because when you don't train your traps, guess what happens? Is that when you put all the load, let's say when you do squat, right, and you put all that load onto your back, guess what happens? That's the first point of pressure. That's the first point of contact. That's the first point where all the pressure is looked at. Imagine Atlas does not have a trap, right? Because your trapezius, right? It rolls from all the way back here, right? That's the first muscle part that stabilizes your whole weight. Does that make sense? So that means for boxers, right? The reason why boxers train their traps, right, is because when they get hit, the neck won't slip, right? That's because the neck is important. Ladies, it's important because for ladies as well, right? Is that for ladies, you guys won't have that bulky traps because you guys don't have the testosterone to build that. So the reason why you train your traps is because you want to have a strong foundation at the top. So that way, when you sleep incorrectly, right, when you turn your head to lift your kids up, when you turn your head this way, it won't snap, it won't strain, it won't pull. Does that make sense? That's the reason why people sometimes say, oh, my neck is hurting. That's because they don't train the traps, guys. A trap is a big muscle group that runs all the way down to like your mid chest, like this, like that far, right? That's your trapezius. It's a big muscle group, right? It's a big muscle group. So that's the reason why you want to train at high repetition. It's because when you have, see, look at me, right? Do I look like Hulk? I don't, right? But at the same time, remember, guys, I'm 146, right? And I'm asking questions because I want you guys to understand, like, the reason why I do certain thing a lot is because it worked. I don't need to walk around looking like this, like this. See that? It just shows. But it just shows. That's because when you train correctly, guys, look, there are other people who are doing similar things, but at the same time, what I'm showing you guys is live, right? Is that when you train the repetition, you'll get the result. But you have to focus on the foundation, right? Which is the wrist to help you hold the weight, the trap to help you hold the pressure of the gravity, right? And then the next question is, why do I train my lower back? The reason why I train my lower back a lot is you have the 3 point, right? One is the grip, right? Which is the wrist, right? The core foundation, right? And the next one, which is the trap, which is the top foundation when you do the squat. And the next foundation is the lower back, the lumbar area, which is right here, right? And that's where a lot of people pull their muscles the most. It's like when you pull your lower back, guys, it's almost like pulling your rotator cuffs, right? It's when you pull your lower back, some of you guys may know, it either come back strong or it doesn't, right? That's because when you hurt your lower back, it's a big thing, right? When you hurt your lower back, you can't sleep right. You can't walk straight. You slouch a lot, right? You complain a lot because the lower back is such a small muscle group, right? But it's such a whole load. It's because it carries half of your body weight. Does that make sense? So when you damage your lower back, you damage half of your body weight. So what's gonna hold your body if you damage your half of your weight? And that's the reason why, guys, lower back is important, guys. You have to make sure you train your lower back correctly. It's not about the weight, because when you blow your lower back, that's the muscle group that holds half your body, right? And if that's gone, what's holding it? Now you have to offset to your legs, to your glute, right? So you're always slouching like that. You don't want that, guys. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why you want to train your foundation, right? Which is the wrist, the traps, and the lower back. So those were the three main questions I got from you guys that you guys were curious about. Like, why do I always train those three muscle groups? It's because those are the foundation. Those are the fundamental. Those are the core towards your overall frame. It's that you have to be able to hold the weight. You have to be able to suppress, on the top of the gravity of the weight. And you have to be able to withstand the lower portion of the weight as well, which is the lumbar area. All right, guys. Hey, thank you guys for coming by. Selena, Go, Marco, and Sebastian. I'll see you guys next time, all right? Adios.